Greetings, guys and girls, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting. Coming to you right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring spawning in the west. It is going to be the austere forces of PanzerGrenadierAngreifen. And what can I say about this man? He has been shredding it on my channel recently. I must have cast like 5 games of his over the last week, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen those games, go back and watch them. They're all actually pretty good, and you do get to take a look at PanzerGrenadierAngreifen's play from a number of different, angles, different opposition, different maps, different opposing factions. Okay, so spoiler alert. Yeah, he's been smashing it. Like, I haven't cast him losing a game forever. Like, he has just looked dominant in every game that I've cast of his. So, yeah, really hoping that his spree will continue, and he's still in good form, and that his skill will carry him through this. And he's gonna need it, because spawning here in the east, playing as the Soviet forces, it's Talisman. And what can I say about this man? He's from Finland, and for long periods of Company of Heroes 2's history, he has dominated the the leaderboards with all of the races, as I recall. So yeah, quite spooky good is Talisman. Oh, I've just realised I'm wearing my headphones the wrong way around. Hang on. There we go. It sounded like sound was coming from the wrong side. So yeah, this truly should be a test here for PanzerGrenadierAngreifen. I've cast a lot of games of his, but never up against a super big name. Never up against what I would consider a Company of Heroes 2 Hall of Famer, or at least not that I can remember anyway. Pardon me. So Talisman here definitely represents that Hall of Famer. Talisman is a AAA list Company of Heroes 2 veteran. Talisman definitely always in like the top 5 players pretty much, and just a really good player. He's handy with all the races. He gets in everyone's faces. He's just fantastic. So this really is going to be a true test here for PanzerGrenadierAngreifen. We'll have to see what he can do. Now, some interesting developments already here. Looks like Talisman here taking the upper hand in these early engagements, which is a big deal because I haven't seen that for a long time. I haven't seen PanzerGrenadierAngreifen having to fall squads back at this juncture for some time. So this is already, already noteworthy. Look, these engineers are just going to be so annoying. Yeah, PanzerGrenadierAngreifen, he's gone ahead and chosen the Elite Troops Doctrine at a very early juncture. Clearly, he just thinks it's the right pick for this map, for this opposition, for something about these circumstances. He is game for this commander. And Talisman, likewise, going to go ahead and pick his commander Turbo early. He's gone for the lesser spotted Defensive Tactics Doctrine. So there it is on the screen now. Just hit pause on the YouTube channel if you want to overview this doctrine at your leisure. But yeah, one of the most early game focused commanders, insofar as you can see, all of its abilities, all of this guy's abilities, unlock at 2 CPs. So, ooh, possible squad wipe on these engineers, but no. So yeah, one of the weirdest commanders. So he gives you the Biggie Mortar, he gives you a new kind of anti-personnel mine, he gives you tank traps, he gives you the light AT gun, and the Duska, the Dansak heavy machine gun, so... Pardon me. Sorry. So yeah, a very interesting commander. Not one that we see used often, but I mean, this is Talisman, so I imagine he has a plan for this. I got faith in him. Now, let's take a look at the compositions here for the 2 players. Looks like Angreifen, 2 Grenadiers, MG42, and a Mortar going to be added onto his starting Pioneers. So a nicely well-rounded roster here. That Mortar already getting stuck in here, and that's an important unit to have on this map, actually, because it does give you some counter for units in buildings. And that's kind of the style of play that dominates the middle of the map, units and buildings, at least in the early game, so... Angreifen also, crucially, actually, getting his MG42 into a fairly advanced building and using his Grenadiers to grab cutoffs and just be really annoying. So that's actually pretty awesome here. Semyoski Winter, of course, being the map, means that his units can traverse these frozen areas of water here. And Talisman here, actually kind of a bit on the back foot, like slightly more than I was expecting. Scuffle up here in the north, but if Angreifen's paying attention, he should be able to win with these Pioneers. Yep, here he comes, rushing on in for the close-range damage here. Now, Talisman still has a unit of conscripts out on the map harassing, but I think it's Angreifen who's actually kind of cementing his position like slightly better here. He has this cutoff, and his Grenadiers have run straight across here and are grabbing this cutoff, so that's kind of desperate times. He's fallen behind on the victory points, but that's kind of expected for austere against Soviets. And, okay, he's actually fallen behind by coming on for like 65 tickets here in a second. So that's pretty big, actually. That is more victory points than you want to give up at the sub-5 minute mark. But, like I say, I mean, he's going to have a massive resource lead. You can see he's getting huge amounts of resources right now compared to his opponent. And a lot of the Soviet units are kind of flustered. There's only like 2 out on the map. There's these engineers up in the north and these conscripts down here in the south. All of the others right now are all reinforcing or retreating or moving to or from the base. So, yeah, Angreifen off to a reasonable start here for sure. I'm sure he would have liked to have not given up those VPs though. Anyway, looks like he's been forced to give up the God House here, and his MG42 is just looks like he's going to jump into this building and help take this building fight. Wow, just Axis units seemingly taking the map everywhere. I've got to say, Angreifen here definitely not shying away from the challenge. Able to give as good as he gets in these opening stages of the game, and that's really nice. I think Angreifen is a guy who I've cast like so many games of his, but I actually don't think I've ever cast him against a premium top-level player before, so this is super exciting for me, basically. Now let's check the tech here quickly. Support weapon Campanile is the only building up right now. For Talisman, Angreifen has a 222 coming, so that's a reasonably fast 222, speaking to the amount of resources that he's been able to secure this game. MG42 in jeopardy is going to get a fallback nicely there. Flammenwerfer engineers there in the buildings, pretty nasty. The Soviet player, so Talisman here, he's going to be adding in one of the heavy boom mortars, so that's the big old 120 mil. Here comes the sound. Bonk! So intimidating, that noise. And let's see if it's going to get a hit. Oh, near miss there, near miss. Catching some conscripts a little bit, actually. It's a tad awkward. And Angreifen actually running out of momentum here in the middle of the map. His engineers here are forced back, and now his grenadiers perilously low. And we've got a Dansak on the map now. And I do wonder, actually, why has Talisman constructed this building? I guess it gives him the option for Zis guns, but I mean, because the thing is he can already call in mortars, machine guns, and AT guns because of the commander he's chosen. So I'm kind of curious as to why he chose that opening building and not the other one, which is also a little bit cheaper, you know, the special rifle command. That is interesting to me, actually. There's got to be something there. Maybe he wants the option to call in Zis guns as well as the regular AT guns, because Zis guns just have more AT punch, and that'll be useful in the late, mid-game, and the late game. I don't know. That's my thinking there. So anyway, as I was saying, Angreifen kind of running out of steam in mid. Looks like he's going to call in some stormtroopers, and the 222 going to arrive just in the nick of time here. So he's still going to be able to hold. Those stormtroopers, if he wants, can grab this VP back. Meanwhile, wow, I get the feeling this is going to be quite the cast insofar as action going on all over the map all the time. But anyway, Grenadiers getting some work done up in the North Soviet. Let's see, we've got conscripts, we've got just pioneers in just random locations. These units just running around the whole map everywhere. There's just action going on. So I'm going to have to trust you guys, the viewers, to keep half an eye on the minimap, because I don't think I'm going to be able to update you on everything. Whoa, the concussion grenade there doing masses of damage. That thing sometimes just does ludicrously good damage, like just actual straight up damage. So yeah, these stormtroopers definitely showing their potential, but you know what else is showing its potential? The massively spicy Dansak machine gun, which just decimates light vehicles, demonstrated nicely there. This Dansak just doesn't take prisoners, by the way. The damage on that thing is so real. And it is going to dominate the middle of the map, so nicely done. They're probably going to have to take a fallback sooner rather than later, though. Very low on health. And now we might have a mort-off here between the two mortars as the two players wrestling for control of the middle of the map. Up in the north, looks like these pioneers still active, grenadiers still active, and these conscripts all still active, so no engagement's been taken there. 3 units all up in the north of the map, all capping happily for now. Now let's see, where is this mortar? How many kills on this thing? Only 1 so far. Okay. So it looks like we got an engagement here. Looks like the conscripts found these pioneers. That will force the pioneers back. Angreifen, no interest in trading here, so the fullback going to come down here very rapidly. Let's just quickly check the tech here for the Soviet player. Engineers are in the base, and it looks like we're probably going to have that Tank of E Battalion command popping up here in just a second. I think he's just waiting for that last... No? No? Okay, maybe no Tank of E Battalion command. I spoke too soon on that one. Looked like he was going to build it, but no. Actually, how much is that Tank of E Battalion command anyway? Oh, it is... Sorry, my bad. It's 85. For some reason, I thought it was 70 fuel there. Anyway, whoa, plucky mortar. Going to do some capping in south. Good times for that one. And MG42 getting set up in a reasonable building here. Going to be putting some pressure on these conscripts. But it's just getting woofed down by this mortar here. So that MG won't be able to stay there very long whatsoever. Grenadiers going to sneak on in and try and grab the middle VP. Meanwhile, some Soviet units, engineers by the look of it, have actually gotten all over the top points here. So the fuel and the VP up there, pretty vulnerable. In fact, yeah, looks like Talisman pretty much in command of the north of the map now, actually. Forced out the Grenadiers, forced out the Pioneers. And now he's just taking north, so that's a fuel point, that's a VP, and a couple of other points, all very useful for Talisman there. Dansak back in the God building, that's going to be really, really spicy. Pushes back the Grenadiers instantaneously, or instantaneously, should I say. And he's going to cement middle of the map. So I think right now, actually, Talisman just beginning to enter a phase of dominance here. Looks like he's going to clean out south of map as well. And if we crack the tack, finally, we've got a little bit of quiet here. You can see Talisman occupying mid, occupying south, and basically has the cap complete at north. But anyway, Angreifen's units are now reinforced and ready to come back into the fight. So here they come now, Pioneers. We've got some Stormtroopers, we've got Grenadiers, all rallying up here into the north. So it looks like that's Angreifen's priority for now. Pioneers getting stuck in ahead of time here. They do have a metal detector, and they're not in very good cover. So I imagine they're probably just going to get forced back. They're getting minced here by all the rifle fire. As I just paused for a sip on my tea, please excuse me. But, yeah, so, okay, forcing back one squad of conscripts, which means, yeah, okay, so Angreifen, if he wants to, should be able to fan these units out and recap north with a minimum of fuss. Oh, he's just going to not quite cap that point just now. I'm sure he'll be back for that later. Meanwhile, looks like the 120mm mortar, Flammen engineers, and the Dansak going to be pushing across the mid and south of the map for Talisman. So he is tightening the noose, and tightening the noose, sorry. And Angreifen does have units rallied out that way. It's just that they're not really in position yet, and yeah, they're... Oh, dearie me. Starting a fight against the Dansak in the front arc is never good with your Grenadiers. MG42 going to get set up in quite a cool position here, actually, covering a massive area. There's also a sneaky demo charge here, which is worth noting. Looks like Talisman's got designs on blowing up a squad in a bit. Mortar gets set up, and that should push back this MG, possibly even push back some of the Grenadiers in mid as well. Not quite sure what the range is like. Let's see for that first shell. Is it going to connect? Goes long, so Angreifen, if he was paying attention, he will be able to grab this squad and get them out of there. Just move them a little bit. Flammenwerfer gets in range of the church, putting on some good damage. Onto the Soviet Dansak machine gun here. Also some Stormtroopers going to get deployed, I believe, out of this building. Going to start firing away there. I believe that's a fresh squad. Anyway, is there a medic bunker up? Yeah, there is medic bunker up for Angreifen. And the Dansak in the middle building in the church here gets taken out by the plucky GR34 mortar and a helping of flaming. So that's pretty awesome there for Angreifen, getting a really nice squad wipe. Oh no, but his own MG42 here, perilously close. Looks like he went for the building and there were Flammen engineers waiting. Ooh, 120mm mortar claims the kill. And it looks like it's tit for tat here as both players exchanging MGs. Now I'm sure Angreifen would love to grab that Dansak, but I don't think it has actually fallen on the map. I think it just disappeared into the building. Yep, that's the truth. So he's that is unfortunate here because the Soviet player has been able to grab the MG42, but Angreifen unable to grab that Dansak is a little bit bitter for him. Means that he's not really going to come out even in that trade at all. That was basically a squad wipe for Angreifen and not for Talisman. So that's actually really nice there for the Soviet player, who is now leading. He has a considerable lead in the victory point stake, almost like basically 140 tickets, 138. So yeah, looking really, really good. Is Talisman right now. But having said that, Angreifen is pushing in mid. He's kind of... Okay, looks like he's been displaced out of south, but he was making a good crack there. And he's also pushing in north. So Angreifen far from out of this, and a lot of games still to be played, as we've got a T-70 on the queue for Talisman. So that Tankovy Battalion Command, here it is, has finished. And we're going to see the Soviet light coming out here. And now, actually, this could be issues. There's only one Shrek, and it's on some pretty fragile Stormtroopers. So that could be an issue right now. Angreifen would love to have a pack gun. Does he even have the Life of the Mechanized Company? He must do. Yeah, he has the Life of the Mechanized Company. Okay, good. I'm just making sure he hasn't skipped that for some crazy reason. These Grenadiers here pretty much have no business being here. Angreifen, there we go. Prompt fallback, going to come down. These Flammen engineers could have been pretty nasty if he'd have waited on that fallback any longer. But he didn't. Looks like that mortar and a load of other Soviet units actually just going to do a number on these Grenadiers, but they are going to GTFO. Actually, some G43 upgrades beginning to appear on the Grenadiers now, so that's going to help with the DPS there for Angreifen. And that's pretty important. Anyway, Flammenwerfer and a whole ton of Pioneers here going to get up on top of these conscripts. That should be enough to gun them down as a squad of Grenadiers. Going to be forced back by the flamethrower of the Russian player here. And yeah, this is what I signed up for, basically. A really grindy match. Neither player making any brutal mistakes. That T-70 is on the field. Here it comes now, just engaging into mid. Looks like it's going to help wipe out these Pioneers who really need to fall back. They don't want to invite a chase by staying any longer than they need to. But our Talisman's so brutal, he's going to come for the chase anyway. He has to be a bit careful because he doesn't like there could be a pack gun out here. And it looks like actually an Ostwind. Whoa, so the support armor core has finished, and an Ostwind is actually going to be the choice here for Angreifen. Very interesting. But I have to say I do like it. It's cheaper than a Panzer IV, and it beats the hell out of a T-70. And it also is more effective than a Panzer IV against every other unit in the Soviet army right now. So I got to say I do like the Ostwind choice. The only trouble is it's going to get countered pretty hard as soon as the Soviet player here gets any kind of a real tank on his side. Not that I'm saying the T-70 is not a real tank to all of you out there who love T-70s. I'm just saying it's not like it can't take an Ostwind. So that's an interesting choice for Angreifen, but I really like it. And let's face it, his Ostwind Micro is probably on point right now because he's been playing so much Scavenge Doctrine in Overcommand West. So I think he's feeling pretty comfortable with the Ostwinds right now. So I got faith that he's going to make a lot of this Ostwind. Now, the Soviet player, Talisman, he does have a Zis gun, and that is lurking right now. The Ostwind should be able to sweep in pretty quickly and maybe take out this T-70, though, because it is stricken and it is trying to limp away. Where is that Zis gun? Zis gun's still not moving in, so I believe the T-70... Oh, no, the Ostwind reveals itself quite early here. Well, I suppose it has to. Okay, he needs to just start getting some hits on this T-70, because the Ostwind's main cannon is super effective against this little T-70. There we go. Bong, 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 especially in the rear armor. There we go. That's going to do the job. Now, there is a Zis gun here. Oh, no, Angreifen. Oh, don't get too cocky, bro. He has to get out of there with the Ostwind. Oh, God. And gets a squad wipe. What was that? I think that was a conscript squad? Oh, that's gross. That was like a one Ostwind shell. Just clip that bastard down. Oh, rough. That is so mean. Okay, well, Talisman suffering a pretty brutal squad wipe there, and somehow the Ostwind getting away almost squeaky clean. Got tagged by an anti-vehicle grenade, but it wasn't damaged enough, so the engine's still okay. And wow, Angreifen actually taking a pretty sweet fight there, it seemed. But, I mean, well, he got a T-70, and I think he got a squad wipe, but it actually wasn't enough, was it? Because he's under a triple cap. And now he's down at 278 under 458. And like Talisman, in the very best tradition of Soviet players who really know what they're doing, like kind of looks like he's losing but is really just winning in every metric that matters. Like, you know, like you look at the fights, on one screen it looks like the Ostia player is winning, but then when you look at the mini-map, the Soviet player is always just totally creaming the map, you know. So anyway, looks like the mechanized armor camp and I are going to be finishing up here in just a minute. So he's going to have access as Talisman to the Katusha or the T-34, both of which an appealing choice. Now, I don't normally advocate T-34s, but when your opponent has an Ostwind, that T-34 starts looking pretty sweet, actually. So, yeah, I could see a T-34. Su-85 wouldn't be too bad, but that's a bit of a long game unit. And I'm not sure Talisman, I mean, he's winning quite handily right now. He may feel that he doesn't need to invest in an SU just now. And he might just feel like a T-34 or two, yeah. And a Katusha could be really good. Whoa! But this bloody Ostwind here just gets another squad of conscripts. Holy spoons! I feel like Angreifen is getting a little bit lucky with some of these hits. Like, that was just like a single Ostwind shell that quickly just slayed like 2 retreating conscripts, I think. That was pretty lucky. But I mean, that is the danger of the Ostwind. Rapid fire AoE, potent anti-infantry. You know, you've got to respect the Ostwind. I mean, it can deliver these kinds of squad wipes. So Talisman here, perhaps not quite respecting the Ostwind, and now he's having to spend manpower replacing conscripts. Never something you want to do at this stage in the game. I'm sure he had other plans for that manpower, and not to mention losing all the veterancy on your conscripts is actually really bad. So taking some body blows here is Talisman. Angreifen here has got his gloves up and he's getting some hits in now. We'll have to see if it's enough. He's still considerably behind, and he's still dropping further behind. God damn, he needs to just get someone to capture this middle VP. Like, these grenadiers would be fine for the job. But now, like, there's a ton of Soviet units. Where's the machine guns here? Okay, one machine gun here. That one could just hop into this building at a moment's notice, and if it does, it will catch a lot of Axis units. Pardon me, in the arc. He could also hop an MG into this building. The Dansak right now is actually at base. Oh god, these guys are just getting rinsed. He stays for the grenade, but no, losing a squad of grenadiers is Angreifen, and if it sounds like I'm sort of supporting Angreifen a little bit, I'm like, no! It's only because, you know, I'm British and I'm therefore genetically predetermined to, like, cheer for the underdog, which Angreifen undoubtedly is here. So anyway, Angreifen here going to fall back those Grenadiers, not going to lose them. Oswin comes in, gets a bit more damage, but the Ziskan is in a sweet location where it can actually draw line of sight here. So the Oswin takes a winging shot and has to fall back. Probably might take one more. No, going to get out of there, so that's nice. This Ziskan getting close to having a level of veterancy here. Goodness me. There's been no action in the south for a long time. I would love to see Angreifen just try and spawn a squad of stormtroopers down there. I know he doesn't really have the manpower, but it would be nice. And a Stug! Ho ho ho! Well, Stug-a-me. Looks like a Stug going to be the choice here for PanzerGrenadier. And I gotta say, I like that. I think the Stug is almost criminally underused. That is 90 fuel and what, 300 odd manpower or something. Let's get a quick fact check on that. There we go. Quick fact check on that one. It is 90 fuel, 280 manpower. All right, Magpie. All right. Yeah, which is just like, I mean, it's effective against infantry, it's got good range, it's a pretty potent AT, and actually, you know what, this is almost kind of, it feels a little bit baity. By going for the Oswin first, that makes it so inviting for Talisman to get a T-34, which he's doing. And like a Stug under the right circumstances. Oh no, there's this Stormtrooper. Oh, he does get out of there just. But as I was saying, this Stug will actually handily make this T-34 not so great, make it very hard to use. So if Angreifen can get a pack gun as his next unit, I think that his composition looks pretty sound. And if he can invest in maybe one more Shrek on his Stormtroopers, that would be really nice too. So I don't know. Yeah, I like where Angreifen's at, like just about. It's a fine line to walk when you're playing against a player of Talisman's caliber, like being able to get the units you need and try and keep your army surviving and get to a good composition is so hard. But Angreifen's doing it because he's way better at this game than I am. Yeah, he's actually looking pretty good right now. This Oswin actually up to 1 star of veterancy already, and that's noteworthy because that gives it Blitz already, which is very useful. But it means that it's you know, on its way to that crucial 2-star veterancy, which is when the Oswin really starts becoming an infantry hoover, like an infantry mower of the highest accord. Looks like this Mortoff not going so well right now for Angreifen. He's probably going to have to fall back or relocate this mortar because the heavy boom's coming in. And actually having to retreat, you can see here a large portion of his army. So I think there's going to be a window here for Talisman to possibly reclaim the north if he wants it. And he should do that. This Oswin getting turbo brave. There could be mines or anything out here. God damn, that Oswin getting so brave. Stug is in the hood, so's the T-34. Looks like the T-34 thinks it knows. Are these telemines? Oh, there's telemines here for Angreifen, so that's worth knowing. Careful with those. Okay, so the Oswin reveals itself, the T-34 goes for it, and now the Stug reveals itself. This is perfectly orchestrated here from Angreifen, and I'm loving it. He needs to bring the Stug forward to go for the chase. And he does. It's just in range here, but I think he brought it forward just a little too late, and the T-34 is going to be able to slink away here. Oh, sneaky Soviet armor. Whoa, Talisman's so ballsy, just going to leave it on the edge of the ice here. Christ, that guy's got ice for blood. And the Ziskan coming in from the flank, so Talisman doing exactly what he needed to. Oh my god, Talisman. That was a masterful ambush from Angreifen. Love the way he orchestrated that. That is exactly how you want your secret just arrived. Your enemy hasn't scouted your Stug. You use the Oswin, bait out the T-34, which goodness knows, did he hear it? He must have heard it or something. And then the T-34 comes in against the Oswin, giving your Stug a sweet angle of engagement. That was so well pulled off. The only thing I would say is if he started advancing a bit sooner with the Stug, he maybe could have closed the deal against the T-34. And I have to say, credit where credit's due as well. Talisman disengaging from that nasty ambush so well. Oh, and the indirect fire coming down off this Ziskan, remembering to use these abilities that Soviet players just seem to forget about once the mid-game begins. And getting good damage, forcing 2 squads back there with the Ziskan indirect barrage here. Talisman just squeezing every drop of value out of the Soviet forces. And it's nice to see. T-34 getting a brutal crush here. No! Somehow the Stormtrooper's going to sneak out around it. And now this is actually quite a lot of Soviet units in a fairly disarrayed position. Whoa, Stug coming forward. I don't like this. He's going to try and drive through the Ziskan. The Oswin's hitting it, but the Ziskan's just refusing to die. Another hit came down, and I don't think Angreifen was gambling for that second Ziskan hit to connect. Now the Stug goes down, and the T-34 has a sweet angle against the Oswin. He's going to try and run, but the telemines are good. The bait is good, and Angreifen gets the T-34. Oh my god. Sweet phase of play there. Oh, god damn, look at this battlefield, a smouldering craterscape. Ugh, spicy action here, and this is what we signed up for. Love it. Absolutely love it. Raw, unbridled Company of Heroes 2 coming at you. Spicy. So, okay, anyway, right. Head back in the game here. Oh, these pioneers, or these engineers, attack ground flaming. That is beautiful. All right, whoa, so risky here. Angreifen going to come forward. All Talisman has to do is recrew this Ziskan, and then it will be a simple matter to take out the Oswin. He does get the recrew. Bloody hell. Angreifen is fearless with this Oswin. Jesus. Gets it back there. And now, okay, so now the mortar is hooning in. That's the GR34. These conscripts get turbo low. And that's the 120 mil for the Soviets just cruising in some massive shells here. Getting some good hits. Man, these stormtroopers, they go, when do they get camo? Is that at 2-star? Oh, no, 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 they come with it by default, don't they? God, I always forget that. It's Jaeger-Light infantry I'm thinking of who don't come with camo. Anyway. Okay, so conscripts get forced out of north, and Angreifen right now under a triple cap, 125 under 458. So that is going to be the story of this game. Can Angreifen manage to get some VPs? Can he hold and get the manpower? Remember, he needs 800 to get the Tiger Ace. Oh, he loses his Pioneer with Flammenwerfer there. That was a brutal squad wipe. The T-34 casting in the crucial shell there. And Angreifen, I hope he doesn't feel tempted to just insta-replace that squad, because he still has a squad of Pioneers. And that's kind of enough, and he really wants to just try and get to that 800 manpower here so he can get the Tiger Ace. Now, you know, he's a very good player. I'm sure he knows that. You know, I'm sure he's cognizant of that. Uh-oh, demo charge here. It could be another squad wipe here, actually. Pardon me. Oh, Grenadiers here getting kind of caught out. Oh, the crush is so real. God damn, Talisman is good. Oh, my God. Talisman is so good. It just gets a 4-man crush on those Grenadiers in about 2 seconds there. Easy work. Pushing Angreifen back. And now with the loss of those 2 squads, you know, and the inability to buy squads for if he wants this tank for another, like, 2.5 minutes. Oh, my God. I think Angreifen might have just lost, actually. I mean, how do you come back from that? T-34 is going to start bullying down this Oswin. Shrek-equipped stormtroopers coming in for a bit of a save, but the anti-infantry firepower on the main cannon on a T-34 is absolutely no joke. So this is turbo risks here. Second T-34 this is, BT dubs, because remember, of course, the first one died just here. Action going on elsewhere in the map as the GR34 getting desperate, going to come on out here and try for some capping. Looks like Angreifen just really wants some map presence at the moment. I have to say, I'd rather he just sprinted this mortar on, just ran by and went for the VP. That seems like the thing to do here. Oswin going to scurry on out here with Blitz on a pixel of health. T-34. Oh, power sliding Oswin, but I don't think it's going to be enough, and that should be a dead Oswin. No! And Angreifen here just kind of getting totally picked apart. He doesn't have very many units left at all. He's going to grab a Zis gun, which I actually really like, especially because it's in the rear armor of the T-34. He should get a shot here. Oh, no, he's not going to get a shot. He's just going to lose the Zis gun. Oh, that is brutal. That is brutal. The mortar here, the Soviet mortar, which is now 2 stars as well. Hooning on this Zis gun. Oh, they all get gunned down to a man. And I don't know, this is kind of what I was saying a little bit earlier. Do you remember I was saying I wish Angreifen could, or I bet he wishes he could just squeeze out a pack gun into this composition somehow. Now, I don't know, if he can last until the Tiger Ace, he might be okay. But remember, when you take that Tiger Ace, it slaughters your manpower income. So he's not exactly going to be able to, you know, like re-max his army or anything. He's going to be fighting with Pioneers, Mortar, and 4 Stormtroopers, assuming he doesn't suffer any more squad wipes. Once that Tiger comes out, like, that's pretty much going to be his army. So, I don't know. Oh, these Stormtroopers getting wasted. Dansak is really spicy. Don't want to mess with that. Going to throw a concussion grenade on his way out of there, but it's more of a in-spirit concussion grenade. No real benefit gained off of that grenade. It was more of a kind of screw you, guy kind of thing. I'm falling back, you know. But anyway, Angreifen does manage to grab a VP, so he's now on slow bleed, and he's in fact decap mid, so he's now on no bleed, which is better than slow bleed. This mortar squad actually just heroically capping up the map, and please just get the VP, please. Please. Anyway, T-34 re-engages in mid. Gonna get some crush on here, I would have thought. Oh my god, he's so good at getting the crushes, Talisman. So good. And anyway, he's gonna chase these units back. As I take a sip on my drink here. What is going on with this Oswind, by the way? This is actually the new Nazi salute. This is a new brand of music indeed. It's Heil techno. Heil. What am I? What? Okay, anyway, we'll just ignore that. Tiger Ace is here, power sliding around the map. Absolutely awesome. Who knew Tiger tanks were actually rear-wheel drive? As you can tell by the way, it just totally power slid that one. Nice stuff. Anyway, yep, Tiger Ace is here. And oh no, the GR34 was wiped. I did actually miss that. Don't know where that bad boy went down. Can't see it on the ground anywhere. But anyway, yeah, so the Tiger Ace is here, and that is, of course, a fantastic unit, and it's going to take more than 2 T-34s usually to defeat that. An anti-vehicle grenade going to come down here, biff. That's like, you know, a minor inconvenience for a Tiger Ace. Now, Angreifen does still have his, Pioneers, so he can repair that Tiger Ace handily. He's also got double Shrek on these Stormtroopers, which is nice. Oh my god, this mortar just makes me flinch every time, but no squad wipes coming down just then. Dansak here going to get hooned on quite heavily by the Tiger Ace. That's quite a good unit. Oh no, these Stormtroopers will be dead. Oh wow, why were they not falling back? This is a one-man unit of Stormtroopers here. Will for sure be going down here momentarily. Tiger Ace going to start backing up. This T-34 looks like it's lunging for the rear armor, but it's really lunging for a squad wipe shot, but it doesn't get it. Angreifen, luck of the gods here, going to get out with both of those squads despite a T-34 harrying on their heels. Now he's going to come in deep. I think he wants the Soviet medium here. There's another one though, and a Ziskan could be recrewed for additional anti-tank oomph here. Uh-oh, Tiger getting a bit spit roasted. T-34 coming around for the rear armor. Getting some point-blank hits here. The Tiger Ace now stranded, utterly surrounded, and it looks like this isn't Talisman's first rodeo. Oh, he's just baiting that turret with the ridiculously slow traverse speed here. Tiger Ace is just getting absolutely abused down. The Ziskan, now recruit, is going to start casting shells in. Panzer Tactician going to be used here to pop smoke. And here comes some Shrek Stormtroopers. So this Tiger Ace actually not yet defeated. It might still go down. Oh, the Ziskan just hammering rounds in, and somehow both players going to get all their tanks out of that. What? I thought for sure a tank was going to die. And now the Tiger Ace is just fearlessly, it wants the T-34s. Oh god, this is so dangerous, Angreifen. And I know he has to play for advantage here because he's like so horribly behind. Oh, the Ziskan is going to get a shot. Oh, he's playing with fire. He is playing with fire. He's playing with so much fire. But, I mean, he's only got 4 infantry squads and a Tiger Ace. How do you possibly hold 2 VPs on this map with that? I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's very hard to do. Okay, now, these Pioneers do crucially have 2 stars of vet, which means that they will repair quicker, which is very useful. But, I mean, I feel like it's just not going to make the difference here, because I feel like by the time that Tiger's ready for combat, this game will be over. So that means that Angreifen essentially has, like, 3 Stormtrooper squads to try and, like, you know, win the game. T-34 going to come in for the suicide dive here, but the Tiger Ace should be able to just... As long as the front armor is facing that T-34, it's turbo unlikely that that Tiger Ace will get killed. The front armor, of course, on a 3-star Tiger is, you know, it's pretty intimidating. So, I mean, for a T-34 anyway. Ziskan getting picked off here is quite a nice pickup there for Angreifen. That's very nice. And now he's actually going to get on top of mid, and he has enough time to decap this, but nothing holding north. So, you know, here come the Soviets. They're going to grab this VP, and then the bleed will be back on. And there's nothing. There's just nothing to defend that, really. Okay, so he decaps, so he's now no longer bleeding. But here comes the timer for new bleed. New bleed timer. Dun 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 dun. I'm not going to make suspenseful music the entire time this thing's ticking, but you get the picture. Dun 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 dun. It's pretty close. The timers are ticking. Okay, so he caps mid. He needs to go and get north. I think he's actually dead. I think even if he sends everything he can up to north, it's going to be too slow right now. Soviet units, I mean, that's the capometer here, the capometer of destiny. There's a Dansak in the hood, let's not forget, just waiting to catch these Axis units. So yeah, Talisman's got this one in the bag. I believe he has this one in the bag. Unless Angreifen suddenly has like a psychic moment and comes this way. Nope. What? There it is. Just insta pin there, and that's going to be game. That is going to be game. These Stormtroopers here making a desperate lunge for the Southern VP, but it ain't going to be enough. And there we have it. Wow. Really entertaining game there. Fantastic game. It's been a while since I've been able to cast the likes of Talisman, so obviously a huge honor and a privilege there. Very exciting to be able to capture this guy on screen once again. PanzerGrenadierAngreifen there, doing his best, and it just wasn't enough. Just falling short there. And I feel like it was going kind of okay. Like, yeah, he was behind. Yeah, he was kind of the dog for most of that game. But I still feel like it was all completely recoverable. And playing for the Tiger Ace plan was, like, totally still on the cards. And you know, where the Tiger Ace wouldn't just be a, oh, my God, I'm totally dead, but at least I have a Tiger Ace. Where, you know, I mean, he was playing for the Tiger Ace where hopefully he'd still have a big army and a Tiger Ace, you know. And then the Tiger Ace becomes really, really, really quite terrifying. But he just lost like 2 or 3 squads in the run-up whilst he was saving up for that Tiger Ace. And you're never going to be able to replenish those. Well, you might, but it's very unlikely because your manpower income just gets absolutely, you know, decimated by the Tiger arriving. So, yeah, that basically meant that after the Tiger arriving, which he had to commit to, I mean, if he didn't call in the Tiger, this would have been over so much earlier. But it basically meant that he was locked into just these 4 squads once that Tiger arrived. And it's just not enough to hold on to the VPs on this map against a talented Soviet player who has like a proper huge Soviet army here. I mean, you know, look, it's 56 supply here against 80. And, you know, there's just more T-34s coming. We're going to 4 T-34s here for Talisman. So Talisman there, just playing that one, like, just so well. I mean, he clearly read that he was up against the Elite Troops Doctrine. He clearly, I mean, the decisions he made were so smart. And also, I can't believe he only lost 1 T-34. Was it only 1? I think it was only this one that he lost. The others, I just can't believe he managed to get them out. That fight where he had the Tiger tank, like, boxed up here, I can't believe he got both of his T-34s out of that. That was insane. So yeah, Talisman just showing his chops there with the tank micro. A couple of uncharacteristic mistakes, I reckon, earlier on in the game. Like there were a couple of squad wipes that went down in the sort of early, in the first third of the game, or maybe just after, which I felt was slightly uncharacteristic for Talisman, but they were also a little bit lucky for Angreifen. Remember, the Ostwind got a couple of quick squad wipes, but I do feel like Talisman was playing not overly, you know, he wasn't playing recklessly. He just kind of got a bit unlucky with the Ostwind, maybe. So, yeah. So, well, this just in confirmed. Talisman still an absolute monster. Angreifen, well, he is undoubtedly a monster too, but he didn't get the upper hand here today. I would like to see a rematch, and I hope that these two players do go on. Actually, you know what? I might just go and see if they're rematching right now on the ladder. But yeah, I would love to see a rematch. I would also love to see Angreifen play against any other top-tier players, because just like I say, Angreifen is clearly a talented player who I've been casting a lot recently, and it would be sweet to see him break into the top tier of play. It would be sweet to see him taking on and taking down the big names of the game. It would just be really cool. So anyway, here's hoping that we're going to be able to see that. Not this time, but still a fantastic game to cast, a privilege and an honor. And yeah, I'll be coming at you with more games in the near future, but this for now is Magpie842 signing out.